Hey, how's it going? I want to talk about catastrophizing thoughts today. Um, all sorts of catastrophizing thoughts, but especially thoughts related to symptoms and attributing meaning to symptoms. I'm sort of repeating what I've said before, saying it a little bit different way, looking at it at maybe slightly different angle, but I think it's helpful to do that. Um, so I do, and probably you do too, have a lot of these automatic thoughts that are always anticipating some kind of like a worst case scenario with things, or a really bad scenario, and attributing meaning, especially to symptoms. So let's focus on symptoms first, right? And then we'll generalize to everything else. So you feel some pain, or you make an effort to do more exercise, do more activity, and boom, you get symptoms. Or you just wake up one day and it's just not a good day, You just have more symptoms on a given day. And the mind goes to, oh man, will I ever recover? Am I just in that group that just cannot recover? This means it's like it starts creating meaning when all you have is just the sensation of pain or fatigue or whatever, and that all of a sudden means like, oh, this can never change. This means blah blah blah. I am powerless, to help this, etc., etc. Some of it is kind of explicit. You can actually hear a voice in your head saying that. Some of it you just kind of feel, but that is a process, a catastrophizing process. It's important to notice when it's happening, and just noticing it is most of the game, I think. Sometimes you can answer back or even write things, saying, hey, I'm experiencing symptom X, and my mind is offering this interpretation, but I don't agree, because look at this story, look at that story, look at my own experience when I tried this thing, and look where I was a month ago, etc., etc. Whatever makes sense, whatever answer makes sense to you, or response. Now, these thoughts, they occur so many times throughout the day. It's different for different people, but like for me, it's often. So I'm not going to sit every time it happens, several times a day, more than that, and just write out a written response. Occasionally, I might do that. Less commitment is to just say it internally. Offer a response not in writing, but either an extended response just inside your head, sort of take conscious control of your thought and say, hey, I'm experiencing these thoughts, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I'm interpreting my symptoms, but actually, I don't agree with that interpretation. Here's an alternative interpretation that I think is more correct. And even though it feels right now like it's discouraging, etc., etc., actually, I know I can make progress, because look, this guy made progress, this girl made progress, I made progress in the past, and I know this process is non-linear. Basically, offer a rebuttal and address it. Sometimes you can just do it really quickly, like just no, don't believe you, no, stop it. Don't push it away, don't resist it, like, oh no, why are these thoughts happening again, because that's just creating more tension. But just no, just dismiss. And sometimes just notice, let go. Notice, let go. The stuff that you learned if you practice mindfulness meditation, that's why for me it's been a huge help. You just notice it, let go. The brain is doing this thing again. I don't have to buy into it. I don't have to believe it. Okay? And this is especially important on like a bad day, or when a very common experience is you do try to increase your activity, but of course, because you have so much conditioned fear towards either physical activity or mental activity, that you do tense up when you engage with it. It's just you can't help it, because it's been conditioned. In order to decondition it, you have to go through the process of engaging in the activity, which will temporarily increase the tension, potentially and frequently increasing the symptoms. But then it is your job to say, hey, I know what the process is. It happened because I got tense, because I have this conditioned fear, but I can let go of that, And sometimes it goes away so quickly after I do that. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does, and you're just like, wow, amazing. So that's on the subject of catastrophizing thoughts and addressing them. And sometimes you'll miss some. Don't beat yourself up over it. Okay, sometimes you'll find yourself like an hour later going, oh my god, I've been like catastrophizing all this time. Oh shit. Anyway, letting go of that, moving on, and you just move on with your life. So yeah, sometimes, some days you just gotta sort of, the work is mental. You're not increasing any activity. You might even be sort of taking a more relaxed day, because sometimes you do that. But you still do the mental work of not buying into all this chatter that the mind is creating for you. And then take that same process and generalize it. Because if you have symptom anxiety, let's call it, which is the most natural response to these symptoms, I want to emphasize. It is the most natural response. You feel pain, you feel fatigue. It's compelling, it's real, it's compelling. So of course you're going to have that response. But now, armed with the knowledge of this process that happens in us and this vicious circle and how to get ourselves out of it, now you can apply these methods to get out of this process bit by bit, day by day, month by month. And you can apply it to anxiety in general. Anxiety is a huge part of this. If you're anxious about your symptoms, chances are very high that you're anxious about other things, how people perceive you, how things are going to work out at your work or with this situation, with that, from trivial things to big global issues, deep philosophical issues, and anything in between. If you have the pattern, the habit of catastrophizing, it's probably happening in other areas, and it's helpful to notice them in other areas as well, and letting go of them, addressing them, reframing them, finding a solution that's more appropriate. Oftentimes it'll be something, a realistic threat, like what if an earthquake occurs? If you live like in California, say, in an area where earthquakes occur, it's not totally like crazy that it could happen, but it's just the amount of worrying and anxiety and catastrophizing is out of proportion to the degree of risk and the probability of risk, because ultimately we have to accept uncertainty in life. We cannot control everything. We do not control everything, and that's just the way it is. That's just the way the world is for us. So working on that is I think a big help. I think it's going to be a big help for a lot of you. Let me know your experiences. Always want to hear about if you're finding things helpful, if you can relate, if you can share something from your own experience. That's always great to hear. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.